I'm here because I like Esther Federkevich, and she is a mover and a shaker. And when I saw online that she had this writers' conference that she was going to do, I thought, oh, that's interesting. I've never heard of a literary agent starting a writers' conference.
Okay,
it may have happened, but I've
that
never
is
heard of it.
fascinating because you work with lots of agents.
I do.
And I'm sure you have a group of people, and for different reasons you like them. So, for some reason, Esther stands out
Yeah.
in your work, and this has gone on for several years. You've worked with her.
Yeah, we've worked
Okay.
on a number of things together. Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
What is it that makes an agent? I mean, there's Esther, but in general, what is it that makes working with an agent more pleasant or more professional? Helpful.
Yeah.
What could an agent do to be more helpful?
Well, agents at their best are really good at crafting a great proposal and anticipating the questions that a publisher might have so that we know what we're looking at, we know what we're reviewing, and we can make the best decision and hopefully, in the author's, as far as the author is concerned, the best offer possible. So I have the privilege of working with a lot of agents who are professionals who really care about not just the author, but also the publishing endeavor and the community of people that the author wants to serve. Not to mention the publisher. So it's I learned a long time ago that agents are a crucial part of this process, and it seems like their star is only rising.
Do you prefer to work with agents versus just working directly with an author? What's your take on that?
Well, I think I think it depends on the author. It seems to me like an author needs to have reached a certain level, a certain critical mass following for the agent to have much value in the process. At least that's my understanding from the agents I work with, that they tend to want to partner up with folks who already have something of a platform established. At least in nonfiction, I can't speak to fiction.
Right.
So I work both ways, but it seems like maybe 60% of the books that I acquire come from agents, maybe more than that.
So publishing is really is getting. It seems to me like there's a reversal going on of some sort now in the form of power or in the perception, and so because with the rise of the internet and all of that, people are either feeling it's more like I can publish, I don't need a publisher. So I'd love to hear your thoughts about this. I mean, it's all happening in real time. We don't, some of this is perception, some of it we can't predict. So it is what it is right now today.
Yeah.
I'm interested in knowing your take on the current environment as it relates to how publishers feel about themselves, and when I say the future, I don't mean 5 years, even not. I mean
we're in the future.
A couple years, how you're feeling or thinking about it.
Yeah, well, I welcome the digital revolution, as it were. I think it's wonderful that anybody can publish an ebook and have it read by whoever wants to read it. So far, that hasn't hurt our business at all. In fact, we're doing as well as ever.
Is that because
right
you've included ebooks, or because in spite of explain to me what you mean by that.
Yeah. Well, yes. Certainly ebooks are a huge part of what we do now. They make comprise a large percentage of our overall revenue, and we're working like mad to convert all of our backlist as well. So every time we do that, it helps our bottom line. But the other thing is, the reason why I don't think this spells disaster for publishers is because publishers provide a bevy of services apart from just placement, and placement still has a place.
Right, of course.
I mean, there are still stores out there, and authors still want their books on those stores, and especially if you want to get on bestseller lists, those stores become really important because only stores, only some stores are reporting to those lists. It's just really hard to make the bestseller list without broad placement because of how the lists work. But we provide marketing services, publicity services, editorial services, and those services really are valuable apart from just placement. So that's that's why I don't, at this point at least, I mean, talk to me in 2 weeks and I might change my mind, but today I don't feel too threatened. I'm really kind of excited.
And what is the percentage, when we talk about ebooks, are we really just talking about basically the last 5 years in terms of real growth in that segment?
We started seeing ebooks as a significant segment of our business about 3 years ago. And it's fun because we have a strategic meeting every year, and we get to look at all the charts and so forth. And over the past 3 years, it just keeps jumping. So
as a percentage of the business, it's growing.
Yes.
Okay. And is it your observation that more people are reading online or using devices to read?
That's what the numbers tell us.
Like, do you have any idea, of what it's like right now?
Oh, I think it varies month to month. It varies year to year. Season to season. It's anywhere, as a percentage of our overall business, it's anywhere between 10 and 20%.
Okay.
So,
all right.
yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
You read a lot of proposals. You're an acquisitions editor,
right?
Correct? Is that and what is it that you? The question is probably too broad, but you can refine it down. What is it that you? Talk about the things you look for. The first thing you look at when you read a proposal.
Yeah. Well, the first thing I look at in a book proposal is the author's bio. I want to know who the person is, what affiliations they have, what networks they're in, because we serve a particular constituency, evangelical readers in the Baker Books part of Baker Publishing Group, and so you can learn a lot, just from that. And then I look at the concept. What's the book about? What's the purpose of the book? What's the author trying to accomplish? Then I typically look at the synopsis, look at what the book's architecture is planned to be, knowing that it could change. And I look at the writing. And if it's a first-time author especially, now if it's somebody established who's written several books, we don't necessarily need a writing sample because they've written writing samples. Mm-hmm. But if it's a first-time author, the writing sample is huge. It's really important. So that's kind of the sequence that I...
So for first-time authors who don't have a big platform, then you're primarily looking at their concept and their writing.
The way that a first-time author can get past the platform criterion is with a great concept, a highly saleable concept, and great writing. But they can probably only get by the platform concern once. I mean, the platform thing is basically a non-negotiable. You have to have some means of bringing exposure to what you've written.
Interesting. Okay. What are great concepts that you've run into?
Yeah, well, it's funny because I wrote a blog post about this, about the whole platform issue. We have a number of books where the platform concern becomes less of an issue because the concepts are so compelling on their own, and because they're backed up by great writing. The one I point to all the time is a book by Vince Antonucci called I Became a Christian and All I Got Was This Lousy T-Shirt. Okay. The committee saw that title, loved it, then went to his writing, laughed, was inspired, and we published it, and it's done just fine. That's when the author didn't have much of a platform at all. So that worked. And there are others like How to Talk So People Will Listen, Looking Up When Life Gets You Down. These really compelling, intriguing, kind of catch your eye type concepts encapsulated in the titles. So I hasten to add that in many of those cases, the authors do have platforms, but the platforms are less important in those cases. So, but I can tell you, I sit on lots of titling meetings, and you come across one of those every once in a while where the platform isn't quite so important. So it can happen one time in an author's career. I doubt it happens more than once, maybe. I can't point to any examples. So the platform thing really is important.
You thought writers would listen to you and not hold it against you, or use it on you, or say you're just you're too direct or whatever. But do them a favor, and what is it that you would like them to hear and know about a person that's sitting in your position? you know?
Right. Well, I would say two things. One, write a lot. There's no substitute for getting your rear end in a chair and writing, and that takes commitment. It takes lifestyle change. So, I mean, you know this. You've written enough to know that it doesn't just happen. You have to really work at it. So that's about honing the craft, and that's about writing. It's also about reading good books. So hone the craft would be one thing. Do a lot of it, and then the other is
What's a lot? What does a lot mean to you?
I mean, you got to be writing. Obviously, if you want to be a professional writer, a published author, you've got to write. I would say at least 5 hours a week.
Okay.
There's something.
All right. I think that's helpful for people.
Yeah. And then the second piece, and this is the encouraging thing. It's never been. Large platforms have never been more accessible than they are today.
Right.
And so,
what do you mean by that?
Yeah, large platforms meaning large means of bringing exposure to your book, to your work, and I mean social media. So get involved if you're not already. Start a blog, get on Twitter, get on Facebook, and start building a tribe of folks who care about you and what you have to say, so that when the time comes to get your book out there, when you have something to share with the world, you have a tribe that's already established who are not only ready to read what you've written, but also share it with others. I think those, doing those two things would help a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.